Hey, it's the Nerdy Sports Fan, and we're talking Week 11 NFL action, and this is an interesting one. We've got the Arizona Cardinals going to see the San Francisco 49ers. Now, if you remember, 2 weeks ago, 49ers visited Arizona, and it was a far tighter game than anybody anticipated. That's because the Arizona offense is really tailor-made to attack defenses like the 49ers. It's very multiple. They spread you out laterally, and they carve you up with a running quarterback and some playmaking wide receivers. They're all pretty fast outside of Larry Fitzgerald. And that's going to give any defense nightmares. But a division rival that you're supposed to know a lot about, it's especially frustrating. So the weakness for the Cardinals, of course, is their defense. They can't stop anybody. So they have a strong offensive attack. They have Kyler Murray, who's tailor-made for this offense. Christian Kirk, who's now no longer hurt, resuming his role as a target monster. These are all good things. But, you know, that defense not stopping anybody ever at all is still a problem. So I would anticipate the 49ers to win this game, but I just think it's going to be far closer than anybody thinks. There's, what, an 11.5-point line on this game? That makes no sense whatsoever. It's as if they didn't watch the game 2 weeks ago. I understand San Francisco is going to be hot coming off of their first loss against Seattle, but Arizona will not shrink away from that. They're a good team. They're just a young, inexperienced team. That's why they're losing so much. They need a better offensive line. They need some better defensive players, sure. But the coach and offense click very, very well. And they worked really well against this defense 2 weeks ago. So I don't expect that to be too very different this time around. It's only been 2 weeks. Teams don't change that much in 2 weeks. So you need to start Christian Kirk. In spite of this defensive matchup, that guy gets so many targets, and they are going to be behind because San Francisco is a better team. Christian Kirk is going to get a lot of garbage time throws going his way, and I anticipate him to slip away and get at least one of those targets into the end zone. So Christian Kirk is an absolute must-start, bona fide #1 receiver, probably for the remainder of the season. Because if you're not degrading him against the 49ers, who are you degrading him against? Really? Kyler Murray's a must-start at this point as a running quarterback. The scoring is in favor of running quarterbacks for fantasy football. So even if he doesn't have a stellar game, he's got enough of a cushion because of the scoring advantage that it's always going to be worth starting him at this point. Earlier in the season, I wouldn't have said that because he was young and inexperienced, and now he's just got enough experience under his belt to have more consistency. He still needs a season or two to really polish as a thrower. But with his skill set, he's going to put up points for you. That's it as far as Cardinals starters, though. They're still going against the best defense in the league. On the San Francisco side, you're starting their defense because you're never not starting their defense. The running backs are hard to gauge. PPR league, Tevin Coleman's more useful. Standard scoring and PPR league, the best bet is Matt Breida. He's the home run hitter. That man's got speed for days. So he's more likely to break plays off for larger gains. And the 3 or 4-headed monster, whatever you want to call it, for their running back group really is generally bad. So even in a PPR league, Breida is a flex play every week. You cannot count on his production because he doesn't get enough touches. Coleman's a risk flex play only in PPR leagues. What you really want to pay attention to fantasy football-wise for the 49ers is George Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders' injury situations. Now, this is a totally different offense when Jimmy Garoppolo has at least one consistent receiving target. And you saw that last week against Seattle. His quarterback rating, I mean, it dropped into the basement as soon as Emmanuel Sanders went out with injury. So keep an eye on that status. As long as one of them comes back healthy, this offense will be humming, and Jimmy G is a viable start, And whichever guy, like a George Kittle, Emmanuel Sanders, whoever it is, ends up being a bona fide number one. But I don't see necessarily either one of them starting in this game. So I think it's going to be running back heavy. So Breda, instead of a flex, goes to a running back 2. And Tevin Coleman, instead of benching him, goes to a flex. So their injury situation dictates where you're starting so many different players for this offense. You have to keep an eye on that through the week. If either one of them is starting, you downgrade the running backs, and they end up being a number one start at their position. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Obviously, I think the line's a joke. The Cardinals are a much better offense than they're being given credit for on this. I bet the Cardinals all day long very confidently. Hit me up in the comments with whatever you want to talk about for this game. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and check the rest of the videos for more fantasy content. Later, guys.